I obviously don't believe
Um,
you can separate substance and attribute.
I
Um,
would just say substance. God's not a substance under this definition.
God is not a substance.
Yeah,
On this
that's pretty easy
definition?
to solve. Yeah.
Okay, where do you get that from?
Bro, are we
Um,
doing it again?
bro. Okay, so you're trying to prove that God's not divinely simple, and to do that, you're saying God's a substance that bears attributes. That's just question begging.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm asking you what's your reason for denying definition and then denying.
For denying a definition,
Yeah, what's
bro,
your
I'm just
reason for
denying.
denying?
I'm denying it applies to God.
Oh, so you're saying that we have substances in that sort of way?
Yeah, sure. I could say the material world is made of that substance. Even if I grant you the definition, uh, doesn't like
So what
hurt
kind
you
of
in any sort
so
of
does
way.
God have any kind of substance?
Uh, under your definition, no.
No, but I'm asking you. Does God have any kind of substance?
Some sort of Spinozan substance, sure.
What do you mean by that?
Uh, do you know? Are you familiar with Spinoza's substance monism?
No, I'm completely ignorant of Spinoza. What do you mean?
Bro. So Spinoza has this idea of substance and modes, right? So the modes represent the limited expressions of substance, right? And the substance is sort of this. Oh wow, Dr. Normady is here. Okay. The substance represents this sort of infinite capacity to be. It's sort of like active potency in a sense. That's his version of substance monism, but like I mean that's completely irrelevant to the uh it's completely irrelevant to the discussion.
Why is it completely irrelevant?
Well, how is God being a substance related to divine simplicity?
I'm having a free discussion. I never said that I'm going to have a discussion about divine simplicity.
And that I mean I got the message that this was supposed to be a discussion about divine simplicity because that's what you originally wanted to talk about in the other server. Okay,
Well,
no
I'm
worries.
happy to talk about any other topic that relates to this topic, but specifically divine simplicity. It doesn't have to be bogged down on divine simplicity. I mean, this topic about what God is and stuff is directly linked to divine simplicity.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe in an essence existence distinction?
Essence, distinction, what?
Essence and existence.
Essence and existence. I'm actually a little bit agnostic on that issue.
Alright.
Yeah, but I also work with another definition of essence. I mean, what do you mean by essence in this
Essence
context?
equity. Whatness.
Yeah, okay. Um, that's not how the Arabs use the word essence, though.
Yeah, they use that and mahia. Mahia is also defined like when it's translated it's used as essence in English.
Yeah, but when people usually also use the word that for essence, right?
Yeah. Then both
What,
are sort of like translated as essence. But you can call it quiddity if you feel more comfortable.
what do you think of that is?
Is that it's the self, sort of the way the thing that it is, right? And I don't know how to define it further, to be honest. I think that's like sort of self-evident term.
Why would the Arabs say, for example, that qudra, that ilm?
Uh they're just signifying the attributes of the essence, sifat al-zatiyya.
Yeah, why aren't they just saying qudra, ilm and stuff?
Yeah, but they're trying to signify that over here, qudra, right, and ilm are attributes, at least in the way it was used in the philosophy I'm familiar with. It was used to signify that qudra and ilm are the attributes of the essence, right? صفات الذاتية, not attributes of the action. صفات الفعلية.
No, that's not what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is to show that. I mean, I don't know if they're doing this intentionally, but this is what's happening in the language. Whenever you have a sifa, you're always going to have to connect it to an essence or a that, if you want to use essence and that interchangeably. It doesn't make sense to talk about attributes independently of the that and that independently of the attributes.
Why? What's incoherent about it?
Huh?
What's incoherent about it?
Well, it's the function of language. So if the Arabs talked about things existing in that sort of way, right, and the Quran was revealed to the Arabs, then it does make sense to adopt this kind of scheme that I talked about, where that is the thing that bears sifat, and sifat are the things that inheres into that. It's like it just flows naturally from the language of the Arabs.
Is it topic about divine simplicity?
And I think also the word mahiyya is a later invention, right? I'd have to look that up.
Mahiyya just means ma and hiya.
No, I know
Just
that,
like
but
yeah.
like alif lam al mahiyya, that's not something the Arabs knew about, as far as I know. I need to look that up. I read it in a fatwa. It was a later
Dr. Normady,
invention.
were you saying something?
Yeah, are you guys debating divine simplicity or something?
Well, we're talking about certain topics that relate to divine simplicity. I'm talking about how you cannot have an attribute without a that, or a sifa without a that, and vice versa.
Sure, something you attribute to.
Yeah. So, because I think this whole issue, when people ask us, for example, this is an argument that they make, right? That does God depend on his attributes? If God depends on his attributes, then God is dependent. God cannot be dependent. Therefore, God is not composite of attributes, whatever.
Well, is by attribute, do you mean a reality itself?
Yeah, something that really, something that really exists, yeah.
Okay,
But
so
an
and then
attribute
in
is
that
something.
case, so in that case, then you're adding a reality upon a reality, and then in that case, what the reality you're quote unquote adding to will now be a composed reality, and in that case, it's dependent because every composite
This is the
dependent.
argument. I was saying this is the argument that you guys or people from the Kalam tradition
Do
are
you
making.
agree that every composite is dependent?
No, but I don't even agree with the assumption
Why?
of the argument. The assumption of the argument is that you can have a that without a sifa, because you said you can have it. What I just did there is.
Well, why is that being assumed? Who said that's being assumed?
No, I'm saying it's being assumed because you said.
Okay, you can say it's being assumed, but how I'd argue it is just any composite is dependent. So do you agree with that?
No, just 1 second, man.
That's my positive argument. Do you agree?
Bro, you need to let me talk. It doesn't work.
Answer.
No, you need to let me talk.
I am.
Why you keep interrupting every time I say a single word? I haven't even finished. You need to let me talk, right? You said a reality upon a reality. What does that assume? That assumes that you have a reality already existing, and then you're adding upon it attributes. So you're assuming the thing that we're talking about. You're assuming you can have a that without sifat.
No, right now I didn't make any claims other than every composite is dependent.
Wait. You just said a reality upon a reality. What does that imply? It implies that you can have that without.
When I said it, I was referring to what you were talking about at that current situation. But my positive claims is one, and that positive claim.
I don't
is
believe
that
you can
there's
have that without
every
sifat.
composite is dependent. Hey, you're not letting me talk. So this is the funny thing. You complain about people not letting you talk, and you interrupt me. So thank you. Now,
it seems like
every composite is a dependent reality. And if you want further proof for that, I can give you it. I'm not going and talking about some weird topic about sifat. No, I'm making a specific claim, and how it's related to something being added upon an attribute and this and that. No, I'm making a very specific claim that every composite is dependent. Do you agree or disagree?
Bro, I can already tell, like, from your demeanor that you're not the type of guy who wants to, like, an honest discussion. You're just here to score points.
Okay, great. Thanks.
No problem.
Bruh. What? What? Okay.
I think that's as good as his argument gets, guys.
What does that even mean?
I had to leave to go to the bathroom, and when I come back, that's the first thing I hear. Okay.
Yeah, so my argument is that you cannot have a that without sifat, and it's a function of the way the Arabs spoke about sifat. So it flows naturally from the language. So therefore, we have to adopt it in our scheme when talking about things that exist.
Well, I could just deny that the way that the Arabs use language was in a sort of an
What's your
infallible.
wait? You can't just deny things without evidence. What's your evidence for denying that?
Huh? Because
What's your reason for
my
denying it?
arguments were divine simplicity. So
No, but
I could just. Hmm?
well, what's the evidence that the Arabs did believe that you can have sifat without that?
You want historical sources?
Yeah, if you can reference some kind of expert in the Arabic language or grammarians or some kind of like poetry and then some commentary on the poetry or something like that. Or you're just making a claim like
No, wait. Why do I need to do that just to reject the way that they use language?
because usually the people that are experts on language are the uh, the people who make poems, the people who are specialized in the grammar, right?
Well, yeah, sure, right. Okay, I can grant it to you, right? That okay, this is the way that the Arabs used it. This is like the message of the Quran. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so
Like
that
now
proves
what?
that the Quran doesn't I mean the way it was sent down, it was not meant to be understood that these attributes um or it meant to be understood that there can be such a thing as God just having an essence without attributes.
Um. Okay, sure, I'll grant that to you. Now what?
Right. So the whole assumption here, from your point of view, is that you can have it that without a sifa.
No, that's not an assumption. That's proven.
Well, you might have proven that, but it just goes against what the Arabs were talking about. So what
Okay,
are you
sure.
gonna do in that?
Well,
What are you
the
gonna do in that
Arabs were wrong.
case?
Like like if I granted to you the Arabs were wrong, now what?
Well, the idea is that you should be understanding the Quran. When you do tafsir or exegesis of the Quran, you should use the language of the Arabs and the way people understood it back then.
Um. Okay. Wait. Okay. Hypothetically, right? Let's say you're right. Okay. Um. Then let's like hypothetically, if you're right, I'll just reject the Quran.
You will just reject the Quran.
Yeah.
I thought you're
Obviously.
okay, nice. I mean, I guess the discussion is over then.
So the discussion was about the Quran.
No, I guess you guys are Muslims and you guys want to hold to the doctrine of divine simplicity, but you realized it's incompatible, so you want to reject Islam.
No, that's not what I said. I said even if I grant it to you, right, which I don't, right? If I grant it to you, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt divine simplicity. It doesn't hurt my position.
No,
You're just
I
making.
yeah, sure, but I'm just saying that it's incompatible with Islam.
Oh, so that was your entire point from the beginning. That was it was incompatible with Islam.
Yeah, of course. The idea is that the language of the Arabs doesn't facilitate that.
Okay.
Right. So what do you do in this case? Are you a Muslim?
Yeah. This is
Or
such a bad
what do you
argument.
do now? What's bad
No,
about it?
like because you're pretty much just making an appeal to scripture in a philosophical debate or like a discussion, whatever you want to call it.
Wait, where in my argument about the Arabs and the way people have used Arabs? No, wait. Yeah, of course we're talking about scripture. I'm telling you, you can't be a. It seems to me that you can't be a Muslim or ascribe to Islam while holding to this premise that you can have a dad without a sifa.
What?
Oh, bro,
That didn't even
bro,
make sense.
What doesn't make sense about it?
You can't appeal to scripture.
Well, I'm not really appealing to scripture. I'm more appealing to the way people do exegesis of the scripture, right? But yeah. Do you see the point here, Fanny? Hello.
not really. No.
If you can't see the point, I don't know how I
So your
can make it
point
more
is
clear to you, to be honest.
yeah, okay. So your point is that okay, so this is incompatible with scripture, hence it's wrong. That's your point.
No, it's incompatible with the way we do exegesis of the scripture, right? So therefore, seems to be incompatible. You can't really be a Muslim while holding this notion.
Okay, sure, bro. I'll like grant it to you, but like how is
No,
this an
I
argument?
don't want you to just grant it. I want you to digest it and actually talk about it.
No, because I don't wanna argue over linguistics
Why not?
because I'm not an expert in linguistics.
Well, I'm telling you, from what I've read,
Mhm.
this is the way the Arabs spoke, right? And all these new words that you guys use in your doctrines are not known to the Arabs. They came later.
Mahia, that's not known. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I remember reading about putting alif lam in front of al-mahiyya, or even alif lam that, yani al that. That's not even known for the Arabs. There's no such thing as
I
the
mean,
that. There's only such a thing as an attribute connected to that, and vice versa.
But
okay, bro. Okay, look,
this is
bro. Upon, please fix your internet, bro.
this whole
Mike,
debate.
since your connection is not
about-
stable, I suggest you just mute yourself, please.
Am I cutting out?
If your connection's not
Okay, anyways, the term mahia, right? It's just what that thing is, right? It's just like it's
No, I
it's a
understand the
concept.
concept. I'm not saying the
Yeah.
concept doesn't make sense. I'm saying it's not doesn't flow naturally from the Arabs, the way Arabs spoke about things, right? Therefore, it doesn't make sense when you do exegesis of the Quran. When you do exegesis
No,
of the
it's
Quran, you should be using the Arabic language, but it was revealed in, right? Because
okay.
that's the intent. That's the context in which these words were revealed, right? And the context should be the foundation by which we do exegesis. So if the context is that you cannot have an attribute without a that, and vice versa, and there's no such thing as a that in of itself, then it seems to be incompatible. Your beliefs seems to be incompatible with like Quran.
I mean, bro, look. Do you think the concept of like the question mahua was known to the Arabs?
What?
Like the question mahua, like what is that, right? Do you
No,
think
that's
that
what
was
I'm saying. Putting
no?
alif
Because
lam in front.
the term mahia, the concept of mahia is like derived from mahua. This is a concept known to the Arabs. This is a concept known to anybody with basic skills in Arabic.
Yeah, if you ask what is this, yeah, sure, that's not a foreign concept to them, of course not. But putting alif like as a concept, like in and of itself, the mahiyya of something, that's not like this linguistic term is not known, as far as I know.
Sure, but for example, the mahia is of an insan, like a human, is haywan and naqas, right? So the Arabs understood men to be haywan and naqas, right? Like so they did have the concept of mahia, right? Maybe the term wasn't around, but to just simply reject this term on the basis that it wasn't in common day Arabic use is it's a very stupid way to like
I'm
go
not doing
about it.
that. I'm not doing that. I'm saying that whenever they talked about the sifat, they always connected to that, right? And there is no example in which Arabs talked about that independently of sifat.
Sure, I mean, like,
Quite
look,
clear, like
I don't agree with that, right? I think the early Arabs did talk about that, but like,
wait,
even if I
so what's
went
your
to like,
evidence? Wait, no, 1 second. You can't just deny something
uh,
without any you even yourself said you're not
uh,
an expert on it. Of course you're not an expert. You read anything about this? at all.
On Arab linguistics, no, but the
Or then
concept
how
of
can you deny
sifatu,
something?
wait,
Just-
hold up, listen. The concept of sifatu ayn zatihi is like mutawatir within the Shia corpus,
Okay, bro.
and that's among the early Arabs. So like, why would I like single out your corpus and say, wait, look, no Arabs are talking about it in this way. So hence,
Which poet? Which can you point me to? Don't give me like polemical stuff like from your Shia tradition. I'm not even giving you something from my Sunni. I'm just saying the Arabs talk like this. Can you point me to some kind of linguistic work that does talk
no,
about
I
it,
don't
that
have it
without
on me
sifat?
right now, but that's not important, right? Because
It is important.
like
We're talking about that right now.
according to my paradigm, this was a belief among early Arabs, the Salaf.
Oh my god, dude.
So
You're
then
just
we will
denying
just
something.
get
You're
into
just
the
stating
discussion.
something. You're not even saying something of it.
It's literally a response.
Exactly. Oh yeah, I mean, like, look,
What's your
do you
evidence
want
from the
to?
Arabs? What's your evidence from the Arabs that they did that without using your polemical works? Like, oh,
It's not
there's
my
this
polemical.
there's a
It's not my
mutas.
polemical work. This is my hadith
If
corpus.
it's
This is even if it is polemical works, then it's still Arabs back in the day using it like that. Even if it's polemical works, unless
no,
unless your claim is
what I
bring me
mean
a
by
non-polemical
what
this
I mean
that.
by
But
what I
that's
mean
not
by
your question.
what I mean. Can you stop talking 1 second, man? What I mean by
Oh my God,
polemical is
Balash
that.
bro,
What I mean
guys,
by polemical is
over
that.
in his
Just
boots.
stop 1 second, man. What I mean by polemical is that I don't accept your hadith, and this hypothetical tawatur that you just applied to this idea of
You don't
simplicity.
have to, but still the age of the hadith.
Just 1 second, man. We're not accepting it. I'm not even giving you a Sunni hadith. I'm just telling you something I'm just telling you a function of the Arabic language, right? Based on what I've read. You're not
Okay,
doing
Allah.
that. You're just appealing to some Shia hadith that you know I'm gonna reject.
Bro, it's not even awalan, even if we appeal to hadith, if the hadith is of that age, whether it is correct or incorrect, then nonetheless, it's still something people used at the time. Your claim was that people didn't use it like this. I can bring a potato from down the street who used it like this. That still refutes your claim. So when you ask this, bring me someone who used it. You go and you bring someone up, and then you're like, oh, but that's polemical stuff. Bring me another one. Right?
That's not
That's
what I
like
said.
no, but that's what you claim. That's what you're asking for. And even if all this, and okay, the Arabs didn't use the terms like this, bro. The amount of shits I give whether Arabs use the term like this and this, bro. Divine simplicity is true. Whether Arabs use this and this and this in whatever way.
No, that's not true.
Okay, so the truth
So
of
I
God
think
is
that's a
based
critical
upon how
point.
Arabs use
Let me
words.
just finish. Let me
Khitir 2022. Like,
let me just
okay,
clarify.
wait, is
That's
that
a
what you're
critical
claiming? Is that what
point.
you're claiming?
No,
That the
no,
truth of God,
I'm saying if you want to do look, your exegesis of the Quran is that God is a divinely simple being, right? I'm saying,
God is independent. Yes.
just 1 second, bro. I'm saying that's a false exegesis because
Oh, God isn't independent.
just 1 second, man. You're too excited whenever you talk. Like you need to calm down a little bit.
Bro, this guy
I'm
just
saying
keeps talking about the conversation 24/7, bro.
no,
This
I
is
need
just
to with you because
bro, conversating about conversations 24/7. My guy, the truth of this and that isn't based off whether Arabs use language in this way or not. When we're talking about a conception, bro, literally the Arabs could have said potato all day. That doesn't matter whether divine simplicity is true or not.
I don't want to be harsh to you.
Okay, thank you for being so soft and kind after you insulted me 30 times. But now
I
answer the
haven't
question
insulted
rather than
you
talking about
30
the
times.
conversation.
That's a lie.
Wait, this is a good point that Dr. Normady is making right now. I don't see why what the Arabs said or anything with respect to that matters. You're trying to analyze whether divine simplicity is coherent or not, right?
No,
So
no. That's not what I'm doing right now. Let me show
So
you how
what
why
are
it
you doing
matters,
then?
though.
Like, what is this?
Let me show you why it matters. So, whenever you interpret the meaning of a word in the Quran, what do you do it like? What do you base it on?
Let's say we base it on X. What's like again? Tell us how this relates rather than
No, just 1
making
second.
another
Let me
argument.
just ask Nasser. Nasser, like when you have a word, and when it says Allah is وهو السميع العليم, right? how do you understand these words? What's your tool by which you understand the meaning of words?
Yeah.
in the Quran?
So to generalize it, when I am usually reading Quran or any type of scripture, right, there's always going to be a specific interpretation, and a meaning is going to be derived from that based upon the definitions of the word. But what I'm trying to understand is this.
No.
From my,
Second, man.
no, hold on. I know. Let me just continue. So, from my understanding, is that we're having a discussion on divine simplicity versus the athletic creed, correct? So, if I'm going
No,
to,
not really. We're just having a discussion about anything. To be honest, I came in
this,
here just.
this is, I mean, this is the topic of the discussion.
That's what I'm
I mean,
saying.
yeah. So, what I'm trying to understand is what you're alluding to, right? What the Arabs have said in the past, right? You brought up a few points with respect to that. How does this help your point? Because what we're trying to understand is which worldview is more coherent, correct? So Shias believe in the absolute divine simplicity. You don't believe in that. So what we're trying to understand is what is the flaw in our reasoning, right? I don't think you alluding to Arabs of the past is going to help you here. And that's really
The
just
flaw in your reasoning is that whenever you derive the meaning of a word, you do it based on the context in which the word is used, and the context can either be literal or semantical, whatever you want to call it, or it can be non-semantical. It can be the environment by which or through which it was used. So who is the linguistic community? What is the
Let me
habits of
ask
the
you this.
speaker? Let me just finish,
Okay,
right?
okay, go ahead.
Whenever
Could you just be a little more concise though?
No, I'm being very concise. I'm saying that let's say you're talking to someone and he says a word. The reason why you know the meaning of that word is because you know the context. And the context is the person himself, the habits of the speaker, the community the community he's in, and the habits of the community, right? In terms of linguistics, right? So that same principle should be applied when looking at any other literary like work, like the Quran. So the Quran is a literary work. How do we know the meaning of words? We know the meaning of words through the context, and the context here is the habits of the speakers it was revealed to. So the habits of the speakers, who are the speakers here? Well, the speakers are the Arabs, right?
Yeah,
And the
but I don't
habits of the
care.
speakers and the habits of the Arabs were not to talk about that independent of the Sifat and vice versa.
Okay, so this is okay. So from what I'm understanding is that there's a group of people that have a specific ideology, and you're saying this is the standard. And if we try to speak about these matters, such as divine simplicity, without bringing them into play, we're committing an error. Correct?
Not right. I'm saying that whenever you interpret the
No.
Quran, whenever you want to do exegesis of the Quran, you should take into account the context. And the context here is the language of the Arabs and the habits of this
Yeah,
linguistic community.
that's fine. That's fine. I'm not disagreeing with you
Right,
with
so
respect
let's
to
do some.
this.
I'm telling you, when you do exegesis and when you study the habits of the linguistic community, namely the Arabs, you will see that they never talk about that independent of the sifat. So
Okay.
if you want to do exegesis of the Quran and you say that you can have that, then that's a contradiction because
No,
we already
that's not
agreed
what
that.
I'm saying, though. No, that's not what I'm saying, right? I'm saying that we want to speak about divine simplicity, and that we don't have to allude to those Arabs of the past to speak about it.
No, that's false. I already told you when you
How?
do.
How is it false?
Like
Hold on.
how
You have
how
to.
like
Hold on. Hold on.
I'm telling you that
Let
when
me
you when
finish,
doing
right?
exegesis of the Quran, you have to.
We're not doing exegesis of the Quran. We're
Yes,
speaking
we
about
are.
divine
That's what I'm
simplicity.
talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
you can talk
Okay, but
about that
that's
right
not
now.
what I'm talking about, right?
Well,
So
I
What
don't
his
want to talk to
question
you then.
was,
Like,
yes, so
that's
what
the topic I
Nasser's
want to talk to you.
what
no, but
Nasser's
that's
question was this: what is the error in Nasser's reasoning? Now you're talking about
that's
like
it.
how we interpret the
Well,
Quran
the
based
error,
on
Exactly.
the
Yeah, that's
context.
what I'm trying to say.
well, the error is that if you want to hold to this principle, the context principle, um, and you still want to maintain that through an exegesis of the Quran, we get that God is divinely simple, or God, sorry, if God can have a that without sifat, then that's false because the context,
Bro, I can just say it's not from the Quran. Now what?
what's not in the Quran.
I look. I could just like grant you, right? I could say, divine simplicity is nowhere in the Quran, right? The Quran has complex theism. God is composite. Like he's dependent. Okay, the whole shebang. Doesn't
Has
matter.
hands, the whole shebang.
Now what? Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, now what?
Wait, so you
Like, this doesn't
acknowledge that?
hurt the argument at all. Like, for
Wait,
divine
wait.
simplicity, it does
So
not hurt
the
the coherence.
I mean,
exegesis of
divine
the
simplicity
exegesis of
was.
the Quran is that God has attributes, and they're connected to divine essence. Is that what
I
you're
mean,
saying?
Sure.
these
Like, I
ideas
can
were
grant it to you.
spoken
Like,
by.
Right. So
Even
why
if
don't you
one
believe in
grants
that
it
if
to
that's
you.
the exegesis of the Quran?
Bro, oh my god, bro, we're saying this. If we were to make a positive case for divine simplicity, and the response to this is the Quran doesn't support this. Let's just affirm.
Wait.
Let's just
No.
like,
Irfan just
wait
admitted
about
it
not
No,
though.
letting
no,
me
hold
speak.
on.
Complain about the
I mean,
stupid thing. Let
normally,
me talk. Let me
Wait,
talk.
Irfan, I want to ask you
Let me
directly
talk
though.
for
Do
10
you
seconds.
actually believe that?
Okay, let me. Okay, you can ask your questions. Let me speak for 10 seconds. Thank you. So look, Irfani Syndicate, whatever his name is, his point is pretty simple. It's saying, okay, let's suppose it, let's grant you this. Does this mean divine simplicity is automatically false? Especially if there's positive cases for divine simplicity on a rational basis, on a deductive basis.
Look, I don't like these games where we just affirm grant. I actually want you guys' opinions on these things.
Oh my god, this guy just keeps talking about the conversation, bro. Just please answer the questions. Like,
Yeah. So, Irfani, do you where were we on this? Do you believe a proper exegesis of the Quran that takes into account the context leads to
oh
a
my
God
god.
that is not divinely simple?
this
I
is
think,
this is
I think,
hold on, hold on, hold on.
I
This
think
is
that
ridiculous.
This is a red
Yeah, this
herring.
is really
No, it's
yeah.
not. Look, it's not a red herring.
See
No,
how he
Yes,
just
though.
completely avoided what I said?
Exactly.
No, because I wanna stick on this point. I wanna hammer it down because then we can move
Okay,
on.
we literally granted the biggest hammer in existence.
No,
We
no,
just said,
because granting
let's say your
something.
hammer follows. We said, let's say your hammer goes through. Even then, your point's still false. And
No,
then
no, no.
you're like, wait, let me hammer on
That's
the
my
point, guys.
point. That is my point. The thing you're granting is my point. So if you're granting it, then you have conceded the point.
We're
Wait,
saying
okay,
if
bro.
we
Wait,
grant
Dr. Normandy, let me just say like one thing, bro. Okay, according to my paradigm, right? A tafsir of an ayah, right, is only supposed to be done by the imam. Now what? Now you literally cannot bring the context of how the Arabs spoke into this, if that's my paradigm. So like this whole conversation literally does not matter to me.
yes, and then we can just appeal to something like this.
Wait, where do you get that? Where do you get that idea from? That only the imam can do that?
It's worse in the Quran.
What's the verse in the Quran that says only the imam can do exegesis of the Quran?
It says only the people firmly grounded in knowledge can do it.
Okay, and how do you interpret them as firmly grounded in knowledge as only the imam?
Because they told us, bro.
Who is them telling you? What's that?
The imam said that they are the ones firmly grounded in knowledge, and they're only supposed to do the. They use very strict words. They said tafsir bil ra is kufr, and anybody who does that is a kafir.
Let me get this straight. So you're telling me there's this guy who told you, hey, by the way, the Quran, when it talks about these people that are firmly grounded in knowledge.
Bro, it's not this guy, but
Not
anyways,
this
yeah,
guy.
Let me just finish.
This guy down the street, hillbilly.
No, let me just finish. So there's a guy coming along and he's like, yeah, that verse about firmly grounded in knowledge, those people, that's me. And that's you're like, oh, I have to bow down and accept it.
Okay, bro, you want to turn this into
imagine
a
doing it like
Sunni
this.
debate, bro? Is that what you want?
No, but this is what you're telling me. You're telling me the reason why you accept this.
This is your argument. This is your argument. So there's a guy down the street named Muhammad that told you God was complex, and you just submitted and believed him.
No,
Oh,
I'm
God.
telling you the
That's
meaning
the
of
level
the
of
word.
irrationality here. Well,
No,
I'm
it's not. That's a
I'm
straw
figuring
man.
out. One sec.
That's a straw man.
Okay, you can say it's a straw man. Let me
No,
continue.
I'm not saying. I can tell you why.
Let me
it's a straw
continue
man.
and prove it then. If you think it's a straw man, let me continue and prove it since you're so comfortable it's a straw man. Thank you. So now look, you're saying the basis is you're pretty much questioning this. Oh, you're making appeal to authority to this guy, this random guy, and that's how you made it sound particularly. So I'm literally going to map your reasoning. So now, here you to begin with are making an appeal to an authority, which is the statements in the Quran being made about predicate and this and that. Now,
which authority have I
this
appealed
appeal
to?
to authority, obviously, this appeal to authority comes from who? The Prophet Muhammad. Now, this is how you make it sound. Rahsa, this is how you make it sound. We obviously established the authority of the Imams prior to it, right? Then from there, we go on in this and that and this and that. Now, this is pretty much borderline what you're saying. You're saying, oh, there was a guy on the street. his name was Prophet Muhammad, and then he told me God had parts and was dependent and whatever, whatnot, and had two hands, etc. Eyeballs, foot in the fire, the whole deal, the whole shebang, right? Well, therefore, I must submit to it. That's pretty much what you made Arfani's reasoning sound. When obviously an appeal to the Imams means he already accepts them as an authority. Now, if you want somehow divine simplicity to relate to a whole argument on Shi'ism versus this, or whether the Imams have the Khalifa and this and that and this and that and this and that, sure, you can go down that battle. But number one, this is literally a topic about divine simplicity. If you want to make it a whole argument about Sunni Shi'ism, that's one thing. But that was my whole critique of your point about what the Arabs said, what the Arabs didn't say. It's almost irrelevant, right?
It is irrelevant.
Look,
It is
To the
absolutely
positive
irrelevant.
cases,
make
and
a
why?
point.
Because you get to these stupid appeals to authorities,
Alright.
and you're the
So,
one who
there's many
makes the
mistakes
appeal
in
to
your
authority.
speech.
Lahza, you're the one who makes the appeals to authority to begin with. Then when Arfani Syndicate does the same thing, you mock it and you say, "Oh, some random authority told you, so you must submit. What is this?" And you mock his reasoning. In reality, you're mocking your own reasoning you made at the beginning of the conversation.
No, look, let me make something clear. First of all, you're using the fallacy wrong. Not any appeal to an authority is fallacious. That's the first point. Second
That's
point.
my point. But you're the one mocking him for the appeal to authority.
Second point. Let me finish. Second point is that I was asking him, where he gets this idea from. Then he says, okay, there's this ayah in the Quran in Al Imran where it says only those people firmly grounded in knowledge. And then he says it's the Imam. And then I asked him what's the evidence for that. He's like, well, there's the Imam told us. That's actually what he told me. The Imam told us. Therefore he is that thing that is talked about in the Quran. Merely some guy telling you that he is it's not evidence that truly is the guy or the people that the Quran is talking about. What else? What else did you say? I can't even remember the whole thing you said. Yeah,
Can I respond to those 2 points?
Look, I can't have a three-way discussion. I was talking to Irfani.
Oh my god, bro.
My whole point coming in here today was just to talk about the things that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about this particular topic. If you guys are uncomfortable talking about this because you guys don't have a response, then
We
concede.
responded 10 times.
No, I mean your response was
Wait,
that,
literally,
your
bro,
points.
respond to Dr. Normady's argument.
no, but
Like,
your response. It's funny. I'll
He
be
doesn't
honest.
like, bro. He
I'll be
just likes
honest with
talking
you.
to the meta. I came in with the conversation, and the conversation is kind of cute, and the conversation this and conversation this. Bro, you're in the conversation. Have it rather than talking about the conversation.
I want to be honest. It was so bad. He told me there's this guy. He claims that he's the guy who's firmly grounded in knowledge. Therefore, he is.
Bro,
What?
I think you just muffled for the past
Bro, I
5
don't
seconds.
Who said this guy?
What?
Honestly, like nothing substantive has like literally been said for the past 20 minutes. I thought we were gonna have a discussion
And he
on
makes it seem like it's substantive. He's like, well, the attributes, this and that. And then you go dive deep into what he's saying. Absolute miskeenness.
Miskeenness. Nice. Look, let's go back to the discussion. So,
Bro, this is the discussion. No, we're not going back. We arrived at a point and you're not responding.
I think the discussion is over. To be honest, like I don't think there's any point.
Oh my god.
So you don't have a response, is what you're telling
So you don't
us.
have a response.
No, I'm
Yeah.
saying I responded, and you guys' response was retarded. Like there's this
So
guy
I'm
saying,
just-
it is-
Okay,
just
our
curious,
response is
right?
retarded. Rather than responding to us, he goes like, your response is retarded. That's your best argument. Your response is retarded. What's funny is you're complaining about our responses, but your responses at max go to, your response is retarded, or, oh, the conversation, this and that. I came here for this. I came here for that. Don't interrupt me, this and that.
How can
Bro,
I take you
respond.
seriously when you tell me there's this guy who claims to be an imam and he claims to be the guy who's firmly grounded in knowledge, and therefore we accept?
Bro,
him?
it's not this guy. Yeah,
That wasn't the point. I literally responded to that.
it's
You know what's so
literally,
funny?
bro. It's the best friend of Rasulullah. Like, it's not this
Ali ibn
random
Abi
dude on
Talib
the
is the
street.
guy down
So
the
where do you
street.
get this concept that the guy who's the best friend of the Rasulullah is always going to be firmly grounded in knowledge?
I mean, this is the point.
So
I mean,
Abu
at this
Bakr,
point,
Abu
he's
Bakr, by your
borderline trolling.
wait, Abu Bakr, by your standard, will have to be one of those.
No, I don't accept he's the best friend. But like, again, that's why are you
But
turning
even
this
this
into
guy's
like?
taking the conversation of divine simplicity into whether Abu Bakr is his best friend or not. Like this is our point from the beginning. Your positive cases against divine simplicity is equivalent to my left toe. You know what I mean? It's like
Wait, so Abu Bakr married the daughter of
You see, he just keeps going, bro. What is this?
Well, I mean, the Prophet noted order of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu.
Listen, why
My
don't you
left
just give
toe
a
has
case?
pushed
Why
up
why
to
don't you
the-
why don't you give a case, right? Just give a case why you think absolute divine simplicity is absurd. Just give us the case. That's all you really have to do. You don't have to beat around the bush. It's very
Well,
straightforward.
I don't have any arguments like that prepared. I just think
I knew it
actually,
the whole time.
Okay.
on the,
Yo, what the hell?
I knew it. You see what happens, guys? You fish through mesquineness and you find more mesquineness.
wait, just 1 second. I just think that the arguments that are made by people who promote divine simplicity, I mean, maybe the argument from the linguistic community exegesis of the Quran is probably a positive argument that you cannot accept divine simplicity. I just have to formalize it. But my point is that I don't think there's like the positive arguments for divine simplicity. I don't think they're strong. And
Dude, you're
there's always
That
gonna be
was your point, really? That was your point the whole time? Really?
Oh, that's my point right now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because
so when
NASA,
I, 20 minutes
said
ago, bro,
accepting
when I 20 minutes ago present you the case that every composite is dependent and there is an independent reality and this and that, and you're like, bro, you don't seem like a guy who's ready to have a good conversation. And in the end of the day, you're the one saying your whole point the whole time right now was literally just to say there's no positive case for divine simplicity. When I make a positive case, it's listen to me, bro. Listen to me, bro. It's very clear. Every composite is dependent. Every composite derives its reality from non-identical realities. This is the case. Okay, defend against the case.
Let's talk about that. So let me write.
He already know he ran away from the original one, so now he's coming to this one. Okay, bless. Okay.
No,
So
I
now-
feel like
Bro, let him go on. Let him go on. Let's see
you
this.
agree
Let's see
that a
this.
necessary
I feel like you guys don't have a response on the argument about the linguistic community.
No,
or the
bro,
Arab
we're
force. Let me just finish, right?
we responded 100 times and you moved to
No,
this.
no.
You
I
admittedly
mean,
shifted to this.
no, you guys didn't. You guys had to grant everything because you guys had no knowledge about it. No one
Of
else
course,
mine,
bro.
right?
CEO of knowledge, Khitir, bro. Let's bow down.
Wait,
Yeah, no.
wait, on Tafsir al-Quran?
Okay.
Yeah, I have no knowledge. Like
Any-
next to none. I've read like one
What do you
Tafsir.
say?
That's it.
Any composite is dependent. If something is a composite, then it's dependent.
A
Yes.
composite reality derives its reality from its constituents, yes?
Composite.
It's dependent.
Yeah,
it's
so the
dependent
reason
on its
why I'm
part.
moving on is because I don't think you guys have anything substantial to say on the first argument. But let's move on. If something is composite, then it is dependent. Okay, let's break this down. So what does it mean to be composite?
To be composed of parts.
Yeah, but that's just using the same word twice, right? What does it mean to be
No,
composite? Then
no.
you say composed. I mean,
So suppose you have an object X, and X is composed of 5 parts. Okay? So what we're saying is that it's dependent on these 5 parts to exist. Likewise, to give a similar analogy, when you have a conjunction, right? The conjunction is usually true by virtue of the truth of its conjuncts, right? So it's more of an abstract form, but that's essentially what I believe Normady's trying to say, right?
okay, I don't think you're gonna provide me like some kind of rigid definition. That's fine. But what is it? What's
I
the
just
evidence
gave
for
you
the
a-
statement? If something is composite, then it's dependent. What's the evidence for that?
I mean, I don't know why you said it wasn't a firm definition. I'm telling you that if we have an object X composed of n parts, then object X's existence depends on the truth or existence of the n parts. That's what it means for X to be composite. How is that not a
That's
definition?
not a definition of composition. That's just this statement that Normady gave me.
Well, what, bro?
No,
Okay, if you
I'm
have a
explaining.
composite,
No,
any
just
summation,
explaining.
anything with constituents, correct? Now, presuming, and I presume you believe this, I presume you believe in an independent necessary existence, right? Because I'm basing this off of. So, do you believe in an independent necessary existence? Yes or no?
Yeah, I believe God is a independent necessary existence.
Okay,
He's
and
with-
by independent necessary existence, do you believe that God's essence alone is sufficient for his existence?
Please
God's
say it.
essence alone is. It depends on what you mean by essence. But I want to go back to the statement.
Do you
Uh,
believe that God, whatever you mean by God, is sufficient for his existence?
So
Yeah.
this is the
Yeah.
same thing that I'm saying. It's essentially the same thing that I alluded to earlier, right?
Yeah. Okay. So look,
If you just mean that God exists necessarily, God doesn't have his existence derived from something else, then
yeah.
yeah.
So does there have to be is there anything non-identical to God that has to be true, right, in order to ground God's existence?
No, there's nothing that grounds God's existence.
Okay, other than God himself. Nothing non-identical, correct?
Yeah, I think God grounds his own existence. Like he doesn't have something there's not something prior to God that grounds God or something.
Excellent. Okay. So now, do you believe, right, that if you have a summation, any sort of summation, you can give it any composite, a triangle, anything. Do you believe that summations can ground their own existence without a non-identical thing grounding it?
Well, it means what you mean by depends on what you mean by summation. Do you mean like two things?
What do you understand by summation?
What I think you mean by summation is like to make it simple, two things exist independently and then they come together and they hook together.
No.
That's not a summation.
I'm not saying that's not a summation, but that's just something that happens to be included in the broad spectrum of summation. For example,
So what's your idea?
Let's bring a thought experiment in. Let's say we have a necessary triangle. All three sides are necessary, all eternal, right? Let's just imagine this for a second.
What do you mean by necessary here? Do you just mean that?
Yeah, they this triangle has three sides and it's eternal. Let's say that. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, nothing came together. And let's say all the pieces of the triangle, they can't be conceived of without the other pieces of the triangle, right? All three sides.
By the way, I don't believe that such a triangle can exist, but sure.
Whatever. It's just a thought experiment, right? This is just for definition. This is not metaphysics. Okay? But look, when you have this triangle, can this triangle exist, right, independent of its non-identical sides?
Like, what do you mean? Like just one side can exist? Can this triangle exist without as just one side?
Mhm.
In a sense, no, because the definition of the triangle is that it has three sides.
The definition of sides. Okay. And would you also say this? In order for the triangle to exist substantially, it has to include one of the sides, not just definitionally, but ontologically. In reality, right? The one of the sides is one of the conditions for its existence in terms of grounding. Would you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. I mean, if you're trying to apply this to God, no, I don't agree. I don't think that God.
Wait, hold on. You
God
don't think that
actually-
aside, it's a necessary condition. He's not saying it's sufficient, but it's a necessary condition.
Yeah, but I don't think God's attributes come prior and then.
No, I know, but we're sticking to the triangle example for now, right? We'll get to God later. But he's just saying that, if you have the three sides, right? He's saying that, well, having at least one side is a necessary condition. He's not saying it's sufficient. Sufficient would be to have the three sides, of course. But you're saying that even one side is not necessary. How do you say that?
He literally look. I don't look when you're making a hypothetical. I don't even believe this hypothetical is metaphysically possible because there's only one. I think there's only one thing that is necessary and like has a necessary existence in that sense and is eternal. That one being is God, right? And I'll say, so yeah, if we can just apply actual examples in the world, I think that would be better.
Great. Doesn't really matter. I'm talking in terms of conception. As long as it's conceivable, it's fine. But
I don't know if that's fine. As long
Fine.
as it's conceivable, I don't know if that's fine.
Just let me finish. Okay, look. But because you're complaining about that, that's fine. I'll just I'll move to another definition of composite. Made up of various elements.
Yeah.
Various realities. Made up of many realities. At any
Yeah,
instance, not coming
but,
together, none of that. Being made up of many realities.
Yeah, when you say made up, do you mean like there's some external sorting agent that makes something?
No.
Then what is meant by made up? I can't understand
It
the word made up.
is composed of it.
Yeah, that's the word we're trying to define. It's just you're saying it again and again.
Yeah, so the whole is summed up by the parts.
Yeah. Whole summed up by parts. Whole and parts.
Yeah, in a certain sense, summed up. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, summed up. It's a summation.
But I don't think for God his attributes or his divine essence come prior.
Whether they come prior is a different question. That's what it's arguing. But first,
Yeah, but I'm
it's
denying that.
whether it's he
Denying
sums
that.
up.
I'm denying that. I'm just to cut the
That's
conversation.
later on. That's later on. First,
It's later on,
even
yeah.
if you were to grant, if you were to grant that they do compose God, God's essence, then yes, they would be prior, because it would just be a constituent.
Mhm.
So you'd have to first grant that.
No, I don't think any constituent always comes prior to the whole.
Okay, but
Okay, well then that's not how mereological relations work. So
Well, you'd have to prove that for all constituent it is such that
okay,
sorry,
Kip,
for
you want me
all
to prove it?
wholes it is such that the constituent is always ontologically prior to its.
Okay, yes, you want me to prove it? Okay.
Yeah, what's the evidence for that?
Okay, here's the deduction, not just evidence. Okay. So, would you first grant the premise that everything in reality is necessary just in reality for itself? In order for it to exist, it has to exist. Existentially. Would you agree with this?
I don't know what you mean. In order for it to exist, it
Okay,
has
in
to
order
exist?
for God to exist, God has to exist. So God is the grounds for God. Would you agree with this?
Yeah. If you're saying God, if you mean what you mean by that is that for God to exist, then God has to exist, then that's just a tautology for me. I don't.
Yes, exactly. So this should be very easy. Thank you. So now, if the statement God exists includes non-identical realities, right? And you're saying that God is the grounds for God, obviously, right? Then you are also saying that included in what grounds God is something non-identical to God.
No, because I
Okay,
think the grounding only applies to the whole. Like, I don't think God is grounded like as a whole. I don't think
okay,
you can
wait,
apply
wait.
that.
When I use the word whole, right, its parts are being included, right? So when I say that when you say the whole grounds itself, you are also simultaneously saying that something non-identical in the whole, right, to the whole, is partially grounded.
It's partially
Because
what
the
grounded
whole
or
includes the parts. So when you say something grounds this, and in that something you have another thing, then the other thing also grounds it.
I'm not understanding. I'm saying God is not grounded by something else, right?
But that's not a response to I know you think that, but
I'm
that's
not
the whole point. That's
understanding.
the
I'm not
contradiction, right?
understanding.
Like,
I'm not.
okay,
Wait,
if
the
you didn't understand,
contradiction
let me
is
repeat it then. If you didn't understand, let me repeat it then. Maybe that's my fault. So look, if when I say X exists, right? In when I say X exists, there's many other existence being included because X is a whole, right? Then I say X grounds X. Then I'm also simultaneously saying, because the statement X includes other non-identical realities, the non-identical realities is also a ground for X. Do you get that?
is also ground. How do you use the ground here? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so it's one of the sufficient conditions for it. Because X is a sufficient condition for X, meaning that there is something within the sufficient condition of X, right? That is also a sufficient condition, something non-identical, because X is a summation. And please don't ask what you mean by summation. We just want
If you mean by this that you're not talking about God, if you mean by this that if you're talking about something that just has a divine essence and now divine attributes, then you're not talking about God anymore. Then I agree with you. But if you mean something else, like if you mean something else than that, I don't agree with you.
Bro, I'm literally saying this. Okay.
Yeah, you're
Wait.
using really ambiguous language. I'm just trying to be clear.
Okay. Let me be as clear as possible. Let's say we have a composite of X, okay? And X includes A, B, and C, because X is a whole, right? Okay, are you following? Let me know if you're following. I want to be as clear as possible. Okay,
You have
X includes... Yeah, we have a composite. Okay. So, I ask you, is X sufficient? Is it in reality a grounds for X? You say yes. Okay. So then, if X does partial grounding for itself, right? Because obviously it needs itself to exist in reality, right? Not just logically speaking, in reality. Then if X includes non-identical realities, then in order for me to say that X grounds itself, I also then must tautologically admit that something in X is partially grounding itself, partially grounding X.
Can you put this? If you've written it down, can you put it in general chat?
That's fine. I'm on a phone right now, but for now, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Bro, I'm writing it down.
I just wanted, I want to be 100% clear. I wanted you to post it in general chat.
Okay, I could be the CEO of clarity, but like for now, do you understand what I'm saying? Yes or no?
No, I want to be sure. Like I can't affirm or deny, or like whether I understand what you mean. I want to like look at it in text. If you have written it down, it would be much
Bro,
easier.
I'm just gonna grant that I believe you here, and you're not trolling. But okay, Alpha, please, or Fanny Syndicate, write it down.
You said
Yeah, bro,
okay, the first premise was things partially ground themselves. Everything partially grounds itself. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, premise one: everything partially grounds itself. Everything needs itself to exist. Correct.
Yeah, but then I don't understand how you use the word grounded, because like obviously I don't ground, like I'm not the grounds for my existence. I don't see that to be true.
You're not, but you're necessary. You're a necessary condition for your existence. Would you say that? Not just logically speaking, but in reality, especially for an independent necessary existence, where it grounds its own reality, right? Then yes, it is a sufficient condition for itself. That's the whole point of an independent.
Me, like it doesn't really make sense to talk about me being a condition for me existing. Like if I didn't exist in the first place.
That's the whole point. Because you exist, you
Yeah,
must
so
therefore exist. That's
conditional.
how that's how tautological and that's how strong this case is.
No, but
It's
this
literally
this
predicated
thing,
on the fact that you are necessary for your own existence.
I am necessary for my own existence.
Yeah,
I don't
your
know that.
complaint here, or your critique here, is the fact that it's so obvious. The proof is so obvious that obviously, if I exist, then I exist. Yes,
No, look,
this is my whole point.
I don't
It's not
understand.
predicated on much.
Look, so every single thing in the world partially grounds itself.
Okay, let's say God, the independent, or let's say X is independent, right?
I would say God grounds him. God is ungrounded, right? I would say that,
Okay,
and I would say everything else is grounded, right?
Okay. Does
I
God?
don't know what's so hard about this.
Okay. Does God depend on himself to exist? Yes or no?
I don't know. Like that's I don't know.
Please don't ask what do you mean by depend, bro. Come on.
No, but like I'm actually agnostic on that. Like if ungroundedness
Really?
is the same thing as depending on itself or exist. Like
Okay,
is that what you said?
when you say I depend on God, like you Khitir, right? You depend on God. What do you mean by this word depend?
I mean that my existence is somehow derived, or whatever
Okay.
you want to use. Is
Okay. So a necessary existence, right? What derives the existence of a necessary existence?
Nothing. There's nothing that derives the existence of it.
Yes, but it's necessary in itself. Would you agree with this?
No, I would just say it doesn't. It's not. It's ungrounded. I'll just leave it at that.
So it's a brute fact.
No, I'm not saying it's a brute fact. I'm just saying it's ungrounded.
Okay, so a necessary existence doesn't ground its own existence. Am I hearing that?
Yeah. So I don't. I'm not sure. Like, if you want to, I have to include self explanations. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. If you don't believe God has an explanation, then he's a brute fact.
Yeah,
He
he's a
must
brute
be
fact.
self-explained. Yeah. It follows from the PSR.
This is why, bro. This is why, by the way, I wasn't just asking random questions.
I'm not sure what that even means. Self explanation. Let's just okay. I'm agnostic on the issue.
He's talking about the existence of Ase, right? So he's not just talking about God being a necessary existence. He's also saying that, well, God is a necessary existence, but also exists Ase. That is to say that he's self-sufficient, right? So that's a different perspective he's looking at it from, right? Because you could claim that there are some different necessary existences, but they're not self-sufficient, right? I mean, so that's the distinction here that I think you should be aware of.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay. So I'd have to think about this more. If you have to say that
That's
God,
fine. Take 20 years to think about it. That's fine. Best, what I am saying is this.
So you're saying
it's-
God is the only thing that like the reason for its existence is itself.
Yes,
you,
yes.
yes,
He's an
Okay.
atomic proposition. But whenever
yes,
you have parts in God, then God is dependent upon those existential propositions in order
yes.
to exist.
And I don't like the response of, "Oh, he's just logically dependent." No. It's in reality, because someone would also say in reality, God needs himself, not just logically speaking. It's not just a teleology.
He essentially exists by the necessity of his own nature.
Yes,
Right.
precisely.
Yeah.
This
His
here,
essence involves existence, to put it
and
in
look,
another way.
if you deny this premise that God establishes himself, then I will bring you back to the dependency and Ibn Sina's contingency argument, because I could prove this as well.
Wait. So what's the problem with saying God has attributes?
Bro,
If you're saying
I
God
didn't say I
Because
did.
God is a conjunction. If you think those
if
realities are
if by
ontological.
yeah,
attributes
all
you
I'm
mean
saying,
a conjunction in reality, then it's the exact argument I just posed to you right now. That is the problem,
did you give me an argument in syllogism form? Or?
bro.
What?
My guy.
Abstra has sent the
Like,
Where is it?
VC text. I will send one
pure
myself.
waffle. Pure waffling, bro. Look, if you don't agree with that premise, then I will bring you back to Ibn Sina's argument. Do you deny Ibn Sina's argument for God's existence?
One second, I'm just reading the argument. I think I deny number one though.
Are you talking about my syllogism?
In Fanny's syllogism. Look, I don't like. I would say that God is the only thing that's like.
Wait, if you deny one, then you deny his necessary status.
Yeah.
No,
Bro,
I
X over
don't.
here is God.
I'm
X over
saying.
here is
So the way I
Yeah.
understand one is that if you're saying that if God exists and he has multiple attributes, and these attributes are intrinsic to himself, then God and God is also like the most fundamental thing. Then these attributes must also be the most fundamental thing.
If by attributes we mean to say here that he's a composite, then of course, yes, every composite grounds its whole.
Isn't this just the fallacy of composition?
No,
Or
I made a
division?
positive case. I didn't say just because it's a composite, therefore. No, I made a positive case.
Yeah, but premise one is just saying for all y, and here y can be substituted with the attributes that are intrinsic, right? If a positive ontology are intrinsic to x, right? X is God, right? Y is distinct from x. I don't. Yeah. By the way, the word distinct is a little bit ambiguous. Then y retains the modal status of x. Yeah. So you're just saying that if something is intrinsic, then it has the same modal status. Why would that be the case?
Because
Wait,
okay,
wait,
this
wait,
is
hold
basic.
on.
Wait, hold on. No, this is basic like modal logic, right? If you have a property intrinsic to X, and whatever modal status X obtains, Y will obtain that same modal status, or
Why?
all the properties.
Isn't that
rather.
just a fallacy?
No, that's not a fallacy.
There's something called the fallacy of division, right?
Wait, if
No,
it,
like this is just
wait,
basic
if
modal
it,
logic.
bro, if it
Yeah. So
doesn't,
you're saying
if,
there's
wait,
an
if Y is like, wait, hold up, I just want to say one thing. Like, sorry to cut you off, but if Y right does not, you know, have the modal status of X, then that means it's not self-explained, and then it's explained through another by the PSR.
No,
But
I
then
disagree.
in that case, it isn't God. Then it isn't an intrinsic.
I disagree. Wait. So the fallacy of division is when you say something is true of the whole, it must also be true of the parts. And your premise one is literally saying that if you have x and x has a bunch of intrinsic things in it, then and x has a certain modal status, then y must have the same modal statuses or whatever, right?
Even if that's granted, by the way, and this is hence why I didn't want to write a whole about for the language, a whole syllogism. What we're saying is this: if you have a whole, correct? If you have any whole, and you were to agree that that whole is a necessary existence, meaning it is sufficient for itself, it grounds itself, then what is included when we say whole? When you affirm that the whole grounds itself, you're then including everything within the whole grounding it. Just by saying the whole grounds it, because
I disagree. I don't think that.
that's just tautological. You can
No,
disagree
why
with
is it
tautologies.
tautological?
Yes, it is.
No, I disagree. I
Okay,
disagree.
when I say the whole exists, am I also then necessarily affirming that the parts exist?
Yeah, of course, but you're not saying that they
Okay,
have.
okay, okay. Wait,
You're
wait.
not saying. Look, if God exists necessarily, right? And the attributes exist, also necessarily, but counterfactually, or like they're. By the way, I don't really believe in this kind of division, right? There's no such thing as God and then the relation of God to his attributes. I don't believe in this kind of division. I
You
believe
don't
the
have to believe in it. I'm proving it. This is the
You
whole
don't-
point of the discussion.
So that's the point. You have to prove the thing about.
That's why I'm doing it, but you can't respond to the proof being like, oh, you have to prove it.
No, but look, the conclusion of the argument is not that you can have, what's it called?
Okay, here, look.
Yeah. So yeah, the problem here is that if you're talking, are you talking about the relation between God and his attributes, or are you talking about his divine essence and divine attributes?
Bro, you're
no,
including
we're just
so many
talking
different
about.
terms. Look. This is why I don't want you to start including the words like attributes, essence, this and that. It's
Why?
because we
Because
boiled it down
this
to
is
the.
what we're
Wait, also,
talking
one
about.
second, please. Let me finish. Because we boiled it down. Because look, fairly, you can do it. Everyone has the right in a debate to ask for the meaning of terms, but you do it a lot. So then, if you start including other definitions and terms and what do you mean by essence and this and that, please just stick to the language we already used, just so we can nail it down. Because you seem to have a problem with language. So
Wait.
wait 1 second. So when I say a whole in its parts, let's stick to that, okay? Not essence, attributes, this and that. It's just gonna get messy.
Yeah,
Okay?
but the premise one presupposes the thing you have to prove them, because you're saying that you can have something called God, which is the whole, and his attributes, which are intrinsic to him. They
Please
can
stop
be.
using
No.
attributes.
Bro. Look. The premise one is just saying that if Y is a positive ontological item of X, then Y retains the modal status of X. That's it. It's not talking about. There's no fallacy of composition or division going on.
Well, you're saying why is this thing?
Huh?
Here, do you agree
Well,
that if X
yeah.
exists, okay, let's say we have X. Let's go back to the example. Let's say we have X and X
Oh,
is
I
equal
didn't
to
even
A,
read
B, and
premise
C.
4 and 5 and 3 and 4.
Oh my god.
Can be conceived separate. Oh no, I don't agree with that. Just because you can conceive of something separate, actually.
That's fine. Whatever. I'm telling you right now, I'm not even reading that argument. I'm just talking to you. If we have X and that X is equal to A, B, and C, right? X is a composite and X is the whole. X exists. Would you first agree with this? Please grant this. And if you don't grant this, I don't know what to do. If X exists, then it also then necessarily means that A, B, and C exists. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, of course. If X
Of course, okay.
it's just the identity of
Okay. So now, when I say X depends upon itself for its existence, it needs itself in order for it to exist because it's an independent existence, right? Then when I say X establishes, or let's say X grounds itself, right? Because I'm assuming you believe in a necessary existence. Now, if you want to deny this premise, that's fine. I'll then take you back to the argument for a necessary existence. But I'll bring you two case scenarios. The case scenario where you agree that there's something that establishes itself, or you disagree. In the first case scenario where you agree that it establishes itself, then this is very, very, very easy. And it's as simple as this. If X exists, and X includes A, B, C, and X derives its own existence, then when you say X derives its own existence, every aspect of X, being that it is a whole, is included in establishing X. So then, the non-identical realities, being A, B, and C, individually are partially establishing X. That's the first case scenario, and that means God is dependent, or X in this case is dependent upon A, B, and C. In the second case scenario, where you deny that something establishes itself, then we have three categories of all existences. We either have an impossible existence, that which establishes its own non-existence, like a squared circle, or we have a contingent existence, that which doesn't establish its own existence but doesn't negate its own existence intrinsically, or we have a necessary existence, that which establishes its own existence extrinsically, the opposite of an impossible existence. If this is the case scenario, then I'll bring you to this question. Assuming you believe something exists, I think you believe that, right? Then can you have reality with only contingent existences, only things that don't establish themselves, only things that in themselves are just potential, right? If this is the case scenario, then you can probably, then you probably have atheism. But I can make a positive case that you can't have only contingent dependent existences. Therefore, you have something necessary, right? Something that is a necessary existence that in itself has its own existence. And then once we affirm then again that X is a necessary existence, or there is a necessary existence, right? Then you come back to the first case scenario originally, where it's that every necessary existence is dependent upon its attribute, on its parts, if it is a whole. Why? Because number one, it establishes itself, and in it establishing itself, non-identical realities are being included in that statement, right?
Look,
In establishing it. So
bro, I'm
then,
not
in the
following. I'm not.
same way that
Just one
if
thing.
God
I don't
exists,
want to. I don't want you
yes.
to talk, and it's just gonna be a waste of time.
Okay, great. Let me waste your time even more because I'm literally making a positive case. Please,
But can you look if you're reading from a script? Can you just post it? Like,
bro.
I'm not
I'm
gonna
literally
follow.
going off the top of my head, man. Would I be?
Alright.
Would I? Like, please.
Yeah,
Okay,
bro,
thank you.
he's
So look.
muhtabizar right now.
So look, if it is the case
I'm not
scenario,
following. Like, it's just so long-winded. I'm not following. Like,
okay,
it's
so long-winded. Okay, you'll have your time to respond. Just please don't miskeen around this if it's so long-winded. Okay, thank you. Now, if you have a necessary
Oh.
existence, right? Something that establishes itself, then in the same way that if X the whole exists, then A, B, and C exist. In that same way, then if X grounds itself, then so is A, B, and C doing a partial aspect in grounding X. Okay, thank you. Because X is the summation of A, B, and C. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it sounds like a fallacy of division for me. Like, if you're saying something is whole and is necessary, then it must be the case that its constituent parts is
Well,
also necessary.
listen, even if you deny that, right, you would still have a contingency problem, because then you would be saying all the positive items of X are contingent. But if we're talking about God, we can do that.
Well, I'm just saying that the argument you're making doesn't follow. I'm making the humble claim it doesn't follow. If you're actually admitting it's a fallacy, then it just doesn't follow.
No,
No.
we didn't admit anything.
No,
Bro.
I mean, it sounds like you're conceding with the fact that these items could be contingent, even though the modal
I'm
status
just saying
of
that
X
it's a
is
Yeah, look,
fallacy.
what is your
I'm just
response to
saying
my
it's a
argument again?
fallacy. I'm just saying it's a fallacy to say that if something is a whole and it has something, there's something true of the whole, then therefore all of the parts that make up the whole.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Was that my
Well,
argument?
I'm just saying that why are you guys granting it then? Like, as if like
No,
the
no,
first
no.
thing is
I'm
right.
saying in the same way. I didn't say in general. No, I didn't make the case. Really, is that what you got from my whole thing? What you got was this: if X is a whole and X is dependent on its dependent or whatever, therefore all the parts are dependent. Or if X is independent, then all the parts. No, I didn't apply that. I said in the same way that if X exists, then A, B, and C exists. In that same respect, right? Then if X derives itself, if X establishes itself, then A, B, and C is doing a partial job in establishing X because, and I added a because X is the summation of A, B, and C. So when X establishes itself, B is being included in that establishment.
What
I
is
didn't
an
just make a
establishment?
blanket
What word? Like, what philosophical idea are you?
Okay, great. Let me explain that.
You're using.
He grounds his own existence in the same way that an impossible existence grounds its own non-existence, like a squared circle. And in the opposite respect, right? A necessary existence grounds its own existence. It is why exists. It is why it is. It is therefore it is. If we want to go by the meme standard, right? And in that respect, right, then it establishes itself. And now, if you were to deny this premise, I already said, then we can go and argue whether there is a necessary existence to begin with.
Yeah, it's this is too long-winded.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Like this is insane.
Seems like you're using like natural language to convolute the argument.
Yeah, language. Define this term. Act like you don't understand anything that's going on to avoid an argument. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else have an actual case for divine simplicity?
I really wanted to engage with you, but like
clearly. Like, alright, this is Naskeen.
But yeah, all I'm saying is that I'm saying God is fundamental. I don't think his attributes ground or like come ontologically prior to God, like his attributes come ontologically prior to God, because that wouldn't
No, you
even
don't.
make sense
So we
because I
never
don't
brought
believe
that up.
that I don't believe the attributes can exist independently of an essence and stuff.
Yes,
Yeah,
apparently
but
you
we
don't
never
think
brought up
there's just two.
ontological priority of the attributes. That was never brought up during the entire discussion.
Well, any kind of he was talking about grounding, right? So and establishing things and stuff. So
This is
that has to do
this is
with
a dead combo, bro.
Yeah,
To be
sure,
honest.
but he wasn't saying they're ontologically prior, hence they ground the whole. Like that's not what he was saying.
That wasn't my argument. You want my argument to be a fallacy?
why don't we just stick to real world examples to make it clear? Like
Of
why
course,
are
but
you
so
convoluting
then,
the
yeah,
argument?
look. So at the very beginning, I go to real, like regular world examples and regular shit, and
No,
then
you don't.
you're
You go
like,
to a
bro, the
hypothetical
only
triangle.
necessary existence. Wait. Your response was this: the only necessary existence is God, so this example won't work, etc., etc., etc. Well, okay. So then when I go to mathematics and I go to actually like the principles of logic and the principles of the argument and the conceptions and the abstractions, then you're like, oh, this is too long-winded. If we go to the practical things, then you'll go and stumble upon random ambiguity and this and that and just make a bunch of excuses. If we go to the rigorous deduction, and I literally covered all case scenarios you can take and showed the entailments of them, then you said this is too long-winded. Like, bro, it's just it's like ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, so look, I told you premise 2 sounds like a fallacy. Premise 3 I just disagree with. Premise 4 I am wait, because you then premise 4 I also just deny.
You just disagree with something or not?
Yeah, I like what's the arguments for those premises? Like just
Bro,
because I can conceive of
I
something
just gave
separate
you my
before it is.
arguments and you had no response and said it was long-winded.
No,
If
but
you
like
want to
premise
go,
3, if for all
bro,
y, if
you
y
keep reading
retains
the
the
argument on the script. That wasn't that, bro. I didn't type out my argument. I said it straight from my head.
yeah, like you
If
said, it's
you want
for asking.
clarification because it was too long or something, just please ask. Don't act like
Yeah,
you
I'm saying
understood and
it's
you're debunking
so
something.
you're convoluting it with natural language. I don't know why you're doing that.
Bro, it's like you're obsessed with language or something, bro. Like, I don't know if you want to marry this thing called
Language
language,
is the
but
thing
I'm
we're
talking about
using
the
to
conception of
communicate.
the actual argument.
Wait, did you post a syllogism anywhere?
No, I didn't.
Then post a
If you
syllogism.
want
Bro, that
clarification, ask
wasn't.
me.
I sent that. Wait, bro, I sent that before you and Dr. Normady started.
Yeah, but I'm dealing with your defining syllogism, but normally doesn't want me to do that.
Oh
so,
my god. Now, okay, so the whole time you weren't even listening to me then.
bro, I thought you and Irfani were arguing the same thing. Can you just post
We
a
are
syllogism?
in different ways.
Then post a syllogism, please.
But why are you arguing with his way when I'm talking to you?
All right, fine. I'll then post a syllogism.
Oh my god. Bro, you want me to write this out? What did you not understand?
Yeah, write it out. No, I want
What-
it formalized, please.
You want it formalized so you can mesquine around it. What did you not understand?
I literally all of it. I'm so dumb. I didn't
Okay,
understand
let me
anything.
re-explain again then. Okay, you
No,
have
I
two
want a
case
syllogism. I
scenarios.
don't want a TED talk again, please.
Okay, I'll do it fast this time.
No,
You
I
have
don't
two
want a
case
speed run of a
scenarios.
TED talk
Either
either.
you have a necessary existence or you don't. In the case scenario where you don't have a necessary existence, then you have three possibilities of existences you can affirm. Either there's only impossible existences, obviously you don't agree with that, or there's impossibles and contingent. Or let me actually rephrase this whole thing. Okay. So it's either, right, you don't have a necessary existence or you do. In the case scenario where you don't, you run into a contradiction. Why? Because you cannot have a world with only contingent existences. Now, we can argue this point if you want, but I'm going to assume you agree. So if you agree, then you now have an established independent necessary existence. Now, what's next? Well, because we now have an independent necessary existence. And what's a necessary existence? Something that accounts for its own existence, right? Grounds itself, its own sufficient conditions, etc. An independent ase being, right? So then in this case scenario, if the ase being, if the necessary existence is a conglomerate or a multiplicity of any sort, or let's say a composite, the terms we were using, then included in it grounding itself is non-identical realities, right? Therefore, the non-identical realities have a role in grounding the necessary independent existence. And if something non-identical grounds you, you're no longer an independent necessary existence. Contradiction. In one breath, it's a necessary independent existence. In another breath, in terms of what you actually have to affirm, logically speaking, is that non-identical realities play a role in establishing you. This is a contradiction. Now, that's why you have divine simplicity, because divine simplicity affirms that God is not a composite reality. Thank you.
Yeah, you're just saying if something is your fourth premise is something like if something is composite, then it's grounded. Yeah, you're saying if something is a necessary existence that's composite, then included in its grounding is non-identical groundings.
Yes. Your point.
Uh,
What's your response?
yeah, I don't
You don't have a response?
I don't think so. Well,
Okay.
why would that be true?
Okay, why would that be true? Bro. Okay. Would you first agree that if a composite exists, right, then its parts exist?
No, but why are you doing this argument again?
First, do you agree with this?
No, wait, let me just read this premise one second. You have it?
Well, why are you reading a premise right now?
Because I'm trying to write down your argument for you. And the inclusion is grounding.
This is like
I don't understand what it means for things to be included in something's grounding.
If the whole grounds itself,
I don't think the attributes are ground. I don't think the attributes ground gods.
If the whole grounds itself, then tautologically speaking, the parts are also grounding the whole. Why? Because in the whole includes the parts. This is a tautology. Unless you just want to ask what a whole is again.
Yeah, I'm just saying. All I'm saying is that I'm saying I know that in the definition or essentially, the attributes are not grounding the whole of God. I'm not saying. That's all I'm trying to argue. I'm not. I don't want to accept the idea that
you can just blankly say that, but that's the whole point of my case. In response to that, in response to you thinking parts don't ground the whole, in response to this, then what you will have to affirm is either God is a dependent reality, or you have to affirm he's simple, but that's just contradicting what you're saying. Like,
no, I can just accept that God is.
You didn't respond to my argument though.
No,
You're just saying, "Oh, this is what I'm saying." That's not a response to my argument. I gave it a positive case.
No, I did respond.
I expect some case back, but you're just saying, "Well, I just don't think the attributes respond." First, how about this? Just to see if you're actually being honest here.
No, it's because you're giving two possibilities, and then you want him to respond in the matter you want it to come. But he's telling you that your whole premise is just incorrect. He does not follow.
Yes. Okay, so look, Enes. When he says the premise is incorrect, right? He just says the premise is incorrect. Then he says,
no,
I don't
he
think
does not just say that. He does go on it. But the thing is, you're saying he only has two possibilities. He's denying it. You're saying he only has two possibilities.
No, that's
but I don't see you proving that there's only two possibilities either. You go on some premises that in some cases can lead up to it, but you don't really explain how it definitively leads up to ADS, right? If you want to be
okay. So what was my argument? What was my argument then?
I wasn't listening the whole time, but I'm just saying that the way you guys are.
No, what was my argument for the past 1 minute?
For the past 1 minute, bro, I was not
following
argument? Along the whole time. I'm just saying,
bro, you weren't following for the past minute. So why are you talking about the last minute? This is my point. I'm telling you right now, you're saying rubbish.
I did not follow the exact premises. I'm saying that you're not.
Okay, what was my argument for the past 30 seconds?
Bro,
if you don't know what I said,
I'm telling you that you're not explaining to him how definitive.
I can explain to you what I said. Anas, I can explain to you what I said. Do you want me to explain to you what I said?
Go on.
Okay, but don't act like you know what I said. Okay?
Why are you talking?
No, this is actually no. Look.
Do you think like? Hold on one second. Do you think people who are like donkeys?
Oh my god!
Why are you talking like this?
Leave the matter. Leave the matter. So
is there something like?
You want me to make the argument? Yes or no? Because you're claiming I didn't have an argument.
Why are you talking like this? Like,
yo, 1 second.
Okay, my bad. I hurt your feelings, bro. Can I make the argument now?
Leave it. So you're actually like the argument you're supposed to be making. Look, the argument that you're supposed to be making is this. The argument you're supposed to be making is this. If God has attributes, then the attributes grounds God's existence. And if God is grounded, then God is dependent. God is not dependent. Therefore, God cannot have attributes, right? That's the argument you're supposed to be making. But you're saying something weird. You're saying something like, if God is not grounded by his attributes, then he is dependent. This doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
Like, what are you on about?
I didn't say that.
That's literally what I got from your thing.
Okay, so let me re-explain then. If that's really what you got, let me re-explain. If you have a whole, you have x, which is equal to ABC. If you say x establishes or grounds itself or whatever, then in x establishing itself is also all the things within x, right? Because when you say x exists, when you affirm something, when you affirm x, you're also affirming A, B, and C in some capacity.
Yeah, but
right?
I don't believe
Not a
just
specific attribute, right, of them, but in some capacity. So now, if X establishes itself, then included in the establishment is A alone, B, and C. So all of them, non-identical realities, are also included in the statement of X establishing itself, meaning A, B, and C are also having a partial role in establishing X. That was my argument. Please respond to that.
yeah.
See,
Yeah,
no response.
that just seems like a fallacy. If you're just saying that if X is ungrounded and X has these constituent things called A, B, and C, then ABC is also ungrounded.
No, I'm saying if X is establishing itself, then if
Yeah, what is
X
this?
is a
Just use
whole,
just use philosophical terms. Like don't use natural language. I don't understand that because every
if
time
X is grounding itself, right? Okay.
yeah, okay. If X is grounding itself, okay, fine.
Okay, thank you. If X is grounding itself, then included in the statement X is grounding itself is A, B, and C, because X is A, B, and C as a summation, right?
Yeah, it's grounding the conjunction of.
Yes.
It's
So
not
then,
grounding. It's not grounding the individual parts of themselves. It's grounding the conjunction
yes,
of
it's
them.
grounding the conjunction. Great. So look, if that is the case scenario, then in grounding X, right? In grounding X, what you will have is A grounding X
No, that's
as
not.
well.
I
Why?
disagree with that. That
You
doesn't
don't. You don't.
follow.
That's fine if you don't think it follows, but I'll explain why. Because when you say X establishes itself, then including in X establishing itself is A, B, and C, because X, tautologically speaking, is A, B, and C. So if A, right, is partially, or let's say in some respect, establishing X even only with the summation, right? Even only with the summation, right? Even only with B and C, right? It's still playing that partial role in contributing to the reality of X. As long as you admit that X is playing a role in establishing itself because it's a necessary existence.
Yeah, I'm just saying the conjunction. I'm not saying individuals. Like
The individuals are included in the conjunction, though. And
yeah,
that's
I
my
know
argument.
that, but there's a difference between saying the conjunction because I don't think you can have I don't think you can have A in and of itself, as you just said, being the thing that grounds X, right?
Yeah, it's not the
I
thing.
don't think
It's
I
not
don't
the
think
thing.
I don't
But it's
think
a partial. It's a partial player in.
no, I don't even think that's true.
Then how can you say X grounds itself when, in order to even include X, A is being included?
Yeah, that's just you saying it in language, right? But there's no such thing as X partially grounding itself. No, sorry, A partially grounding X.
Wait, is that impossible? What do you mean? Why is
No,
there no
I'm
such
just
thing?
saying that I don't believe in that kind of like inference.
You don't have to believe in the inference, but I'm proving the inference. Right now, you have
You're
the
proving
whole.
it.
Yes, you have the whole, right? And if you say the whole establishes itself, then the part is clearly, like, I don't know how self-evident it could be. Then the part is clearly included in that establishment, in that grounding, whatever.
Yeah, it's included because it's part of the conjunction, but it's not.
That's the whole point, yes.
But it's not. That doesn't mean that A or B in in abstraction, or B in abstraction, or C in abstraction, in or alone in of themselves, ground a part of X or something. I don't think that's true.
Why?
I mean, you'd have to prove it to me. Like you'd have to give me some
I
argument.
just gave a positive case, so respond.
No, that's
Don't
just
deny it.
an assertion. That's not an
I
argument.
no, I backed it up. Respond.
No, you didn't. You just said it is true. It's not an argument.
No, I argued the whole time. I've been arguing for it.
No, you just said it. You just said it follows that. Therefore, that this is. I'm asking you why.
Yeah, because
Bro, can I say something?
Go ahead.
Yeah, bro. Look, it's very simple. Look. Okay. Let me like just think for a second, like how to explain this in English philosophy. Okay, look. If you have like, for example, right, a guy, right, making a choice to move his hand, right, and then having the power to move his hand, right, and then him actually moving his hand. These are all parts of the what we call the complete cause of the hand being moved, right? So in this case, right, you have each part, right, and each part is part of the complete cause of why God is explained. That's pretty much what Hadi is saying.
Look, I don't believe that there's if X's identity is just the conjunction of A, B, and C, I don't think it follows then that therefore there's some kind of asymmetrical relation of grounding between A, like A only and X.
Well, I mean, sure, right? You can believe that, but the point is
I'm
he's
not
giving
saying
an
A only.
argument for why that wouldn't be the case.
Like,
No,
I'm giving
he's
a
not.
positive. The fact that you're saying I'm not even giving a positive case, I'm just stating it, is insane. Like, I could break it down much further if you really want, but I really I already made the positive cases.
I don't think this argument is strong at all. Like it's
Well, no crap. You would believe in divine simplicity, right? But, but what I'm saying is, look, I could even
Bro,
explain
how
it.
convenient it is in strong, huh?
no,
Yeah,
but
but
like you're just saying that if X has an identity of the conjunction of A, B, and C, then therefore follows that A unit of abstraction has some kind of asymmetrical grounding relation between it and X. You're just asserting it to be true. I don't
No,
think it's true.
first of all, that's not even how I stated. But let's say it is
No,
how I
it's not. It's not how you stated it. You stated it in like natural language, convoluted. But
But look, the whole thing is this: is that I made the claim like that. That was the claim, and then I go to back it up, and then you're like, "Well, all you're saying is the claim." No, I'm not just saying the claim. Here, I could back it up in a different way if you want. If it's not clear for you, that's fine. But it's one thing saying you don't understand it, and there's another thing saying I understand what you're saying and it makes no sense. So let me just break it down a different way. A necessary
no,
existence.
just
Here,
listen,
look.
listen.
If you want a positive, bro,
Can I
I'll
just
give you an
ask you
infinite number of
directly?
positive
Can I
cases.
just ask you directly? Do you believe that if for any X, if it has an identity of A, the conjunction of A, B, and C, therefore there is some kind of asymmetrical grounding relation between its constituents and X?
If by that you mean if by that that's entailed that every whole depends on its parts, or there's a grounding of the parts in the whole, then yes.
Yeah, I don't.
And now let me prove it. I know you disagree. But let me prove it. Because I've already been proving it, but let me give you even more positive cases. I'll give you an infinite number of positive cases. Yeah. So look, for everything that is a necessary existence, right, its own being, its own reality should be the grounds for its existence. There cannot be a non-identical grounds for its existence. That's premise one, right? That's just a tautology, right? So now, if this is the case scenario and necessary existence is a whole, then its own existence alone, its own essence alone, right, as the whole, would not be sufficient for its own existence. Why? Because in its own existence is included non-identical existences, right? Therefore, its own existence in itself as the whole, as the summation of the parts, will never be sufficient for its own existence because non-identical existences that aren't it would have to be included in that. Therefore, every whole cannot be a necessary existence. Independent. What else do you want? Like,
Yeah,
it's
so
just,
it seems. Look, I think this is the premise. Something like for any identity relations, for any identity relation, it's always going to be the case that the constituents that make up the identity of the whole are always going to be ontologically prior or logically always going to be prior to the
That's
whole.
the claim, not the proof. That's the claim, not the
No,
proof. Please.
that's the
Respond to
premise
the
you're
proof.
working
not the
with.
claim.
I'm just saying I don't believe in that.
Claim, bro. That's the whole conjunction was literally to prove that. Not so don't. and
No, it
look, if
wasn't.
your
No, it
critique-
wasn't. No, it wasn't
Here,
at
here,
all.
look. Get
So
me right.
okay,
Your
how do you
critique is
prove?
this.
How do you prove this? How do you prove that for any identity
I haven't
relation?
responded to anything. I've literally just provided you a whole proof. Like respond.
No,
You're
but
just saying this is your claim.
look, I don't think you're understanding. I'm saying
Okay,
you're
let me
saying
restate what you're saying and let me know if I understand. Okay, is that fine? Okay, I'm gonna do that anyway. Okay, what you're saying is this: I am merely saying that the parts establish the whole. Right? I'm merely saying that all the parts establish the whole, and I need to
yeah,
prove this.
I
And I haven't
don't.
proved
I
it.
disagree with that. Yeah, I disagree with that. I know that's what you're trying. By the way, your argument is not even doing that. To be honest,
Bro.
it's doing something else. But look,
Okay, go do something else somewhere else. Well, I make the positive case to you, and you don't respond ever. I'm telling you, you just waffle around every time.
No, I'm not. I'm saying you're saying something about identity. You're saying X is identical to the conjunction of A, B, C. Okay, I get that, right? And then you want to go from that kind of relation to therefore there's some kind of asymmetrical ontological priority or grounding relation between the constituents of X and X, right?
Okay, is
And
that all I
that
said?
kind of-
Did I just jump to that? Therefore, or did I provide an argument?
No, you didn't really
Bro, that's
provide
the
an argument.
conclusion. You're stating the
I'm
first
telling you.
premise and then the conclusion, and you're just like skipping over all the
What's
stuff.
You're saying I'm not providing the proof, and then your proof for that. What's funny? Your proof for me not providing proof.
So what's the can you give me
is apparently just, and you're just stating my claim.
can you put it
great,
in
I know that's my
can you
claim.
put it in can you
You've
put it
done
in,
this. No, I wish, but you've done this like 10 times. Like,
can you
bro,
put it in premise
Bro,
conclusion?
No.
bro, look, I'll just tell you like what's going on. Me and Hadi are retards, so we don't know formal logic, right?
Yeah.
So we can't put it
No,
in
I'm
sorted.
just saying that. I'm just saying that. Can you put it in? I think this conversation could be much shorter if you just put it in like.
I think the conversation would be much better if you responded to my argument.
And you could, yeah, I
Bro,
want
hold
to,
on.
but I,
Why are you guys talking like absolute fools? Like, can you just have some adab, please? What's, bro?
can you guys just give me the?
After all,
do you guys have
you call us fools
formalized
and
argument?
about adab.
Why are you guys like? You're literally talking like
Please, the
weirdos. Wallah,
hypocrisy is in your
it's
sentence,
really
bro.
weird how you're talking about the oneness of Allah, but then you're talking to Khitir and others like they're like, I don't know, like you own them. That's not how it works. Like, have some respect.
Okay.
Bro, when did I? What are you talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
When
I
were we
told him
not
to respond to
respectful?
my
You
If
said
you
argument.
that.
can't see it, then you
How about
really
Anas,
like have some
I can
issues.
tell
Wallah,
clearly. I can
oh
tell
my
clearly you believe God is composite by the way how you're not asking Khitir to respond to my argument, because that is the adab of a conversation.
bro,
You
the edit
definitely also
starts at
believe
where
God has
you
parts
hold on one
purely from
second.
this bias, because
The
you're
manners
not
start on the way you talk to the other individual. You are not talking to him with manners. You're actually just talking to him like he's, I don't know. You're
Astaghfirullah, brother.
basically
I am
talking
sorry.
with
I am
attitude,
sorry
really
for
bad.
how I behaved. Breathe, brother. I'm sorry for how I behaved. Now, can you please ask just respectfully Khitir to respond to my argument? Yes or no?
I don't think he sees that he has not responded. So I guess he's.
Continue.
Who said that?
I don't know, man.
Why do you have a Batman voice? Anyways,
Well, look, guys, it's fine if you don't want to have a response, but like, okay.
I mean, yeah, bro. Like, Khitir, you can just say like you will think about it. Like,
Odd.
like
Or maybe,
stop like straw manning the actual argument.
yeah, or maybe you can say I wasn't.
What is the
clear with my
objection?
point.
I wasn't even clear on what the objection was. Is he
There
opposing
isn't
the
one.
idea that
He
parts
just
are?
like
He has no objection.
yeah, this is actually good. For any identity relation between the X and the constituents of X, it's necessitated that the constituents of X are ontologically prior to X. That's the premise, right?
That's the claim. That's the claim in fancier words.
that's the first premise. Yeah, I think he's just asking if that's the first premise. Yes, that is.
Yes,
Well,
and
okay.
that's
Well,
true.
in the new formulation I put.
Yeah.
Okay,
So what's the argument
Alhamdulillah.
for that?
Thank you, honestly, brother.
No, but
Thank
this
you
is what
for
I've been
now
saying
responding.
all along, to be honest.
Wait, لحظة. First, Khitir, I'd like to thank you for responding to me. I appreciate it, really. Now,
Yeah, I know this is
now,
what's the
okay. Now,
argument for this?
I'll talk about the second argument, the recent argument I just gave.
No, don't jump, please.
No.
What's the-
You're asking for the argument's premise. I'm talking about the recent argument's premise. I'm giving you premise one. I'm not jumping anywhere. I'm literally right here. So look, It started with this: every necessary existence, right? Its own existence is sufficient for its realization. Whatever, right? It grounds its own existence. That was premise 1. Okay, that's premise
Just
1.
finish your argument. I want to hear the argument.
Yep. Okay. Because I'm just saying it, I may have to go a few times, okay? But I'm just saying it a lot off the top of my head, okay? So look, premise 2, you can say it's this. Every necessary existence, right, does not rely upon non-identical existences for its existence, or is not grounded by anything non-identical to it. Would you
Wait, say
agree
it
with
one
this?
more time. Say it one more time.
Yes, no necessary existence is grounded by something non-identical to it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, move on.
2 tautologies, like straight tautologies, okay?
No, that's not I don't think that's a tautology, but move on.
Okay, whatever. It is by what I mean by necessary existence, but anyway. So, premise 3, no whole can ground itself by its own self. By ABC. Like, let's say we have x equals ABC. No whole will ever be the sufficient, completely enough, right, for its own existence.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Okay. So let's go there. But first, let's say it's true that no whole, right, can ground itself, right? Then you would then agree that every necessary existence has to be simple, correct? AKA non-composite.
If it's true that you kind of have a whole grounding, it's grounding itself or whatever. Actually, I don't know. I have to be agnostic on that. I have to think about that more.
Okay, how? Like, because I'm not going to argue this point if you won't even agree here. You know?
Bro, look, it's really simple. Look, if there can't be distinctions in the essence, then the essence is simple. Like, that's all he's saying. There's no like thinking about it. It's just the law of excluded middle.
It's just, you know, I'm talking tautologies here. You know what I mean? Like literally, this is literally what I just said, and here's what you're agnostic on. You ready? You're agnostic on this. Everything, there is no composite that is a necessary existence. Therefore, every necessary existence is not a composite. If the first premise is true, right, the second premise just follows. Like, I don't know how you could be agnostic on the second premise. It's literally just unless you're an absurdist, and we can have another conversation. You know. All right. Anyway, guys, I gotta go eat. Fun talking to you. Thank you for the conversation, Khitir. Appreciate it. Apologies if I was ever rude or anything. Sincere apologies, honestly. You as well, Anas and Yusuf. Apologies if I was ever rude. It just got a little frustrating. Yalla, ma'as-salama, guys.
Ma salama. Bro, I'ma just go as well. Nice discussion.
Yeah, I don't think that because there's an identity